Today, Elden Ring is compelling, but is it cinematic? Only one way to find out. This is CheckPoint.
Welcome to CheckPoint.
Usually I say that, but this week Kathleen made me roll for initiative.
I have a +5 to interruptions. New details are emerging about A24's film adaptation of Elden Ring, and it's all mostly just marketing material, but it's all very exciting and legitimate sounding. Sources speaking to The Hollywood Reporter claim that A24 has allocated over $100 million to the project, and that veteran writer and director Alex Garland has played through the game 7 times and has been an enthusiastic champion of the film, which is being made under the supervision of Hidetaka Miyazaki. Contributing writer George R.R. Martin has also been brought on as an executive producer, a role that famously prohibits you from producing or executing anything, but you do get to hang out. And the production released the cast of actors whose names have been attached to the project, yet there's no information available on who's actually playing who. Our speculation is that Peter Serafinowicz and Nick Offerman are going to be fused together to play Iron Fist Alexander, like one of those horse costumes, while naturally Jonathan Pryce is going to be Muriel, Pastor of Vows. Several set photos have also leaked, honestly showing a pretty cool looking Church of America and piles of stuff that looks like it would be great to crush with a fast roll or hit with a Zweihander. And Garland's recent work, scripts for 28 Years Later and 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, feature frightening wildernesses populated by sad and or scary weirdos, so in that respect, he does seem like a good fit for the material. It's all tailored to feel promising. So the lingering question is this actually a good idea? The film story has yet to be disclosed, but considering that How Long to Beat lists Elden Ring's length at 60 hours, which is wildly optimistic. Because, it's also possible to slam a $400 bottle of scotch in under a minute, but most people would prefer to take a little bit more time. Anecdotally, a first playthrough might take between 150 and 200 hours, and what discrete whole story do you tell in film with 1% of that time? Are you telling the story of trying to unfuck your game after you blundered into Caelid? A few Radahn attempts followed by a refractory cry? Ooh, what about a prequel focusing on one of the elements of the game's mythical past, which in that case, may I suggest, Firewalk with Melania.
Square Enix is in the news for the second time in 2 months for shutting down libel on the internet. Last month, they took action against the admin of Japanese news blog Netoge Sokuho, which roughly translates to MMORPG Quick News. Square claimed an article on the site, quote, diminished the social evaluation of their staff. They then asked the ISP for access to the admin for the site and reached an agreement with the admin, resulting in a fee, an apology, and the site shutting down immediately. This month, they've announced a similar story has taken place in regards to a content creator posting videos to a video sharing site. Again, Square has requested the identity of the creator from the parent website, contacted them, and now there's been a formal apology, a fine, and the videos taken down. Because all this stuff has been scrubbed from the internet and was probably entirely in Japanese to begin with, CheckPoint is unsure of what exactly the content of the offensive articles and videos was, but it would have needed to contradict Square Group's customer harassment policy. This policy came out in January of last year after a series of harassment incidents mostly directed at Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy XIV devs and voice actors. To be clear, nowhere in this policy does it say you can't publicly call out a game mechanic being imbalanced or a boss fight being annoying. It's even fair game to poke fun at the Viera or chuckle at the Lalafell, because, look at them. Square is specifically defending its staff and contractors from being personally targeted and attacked. So, all right, listen, to the people harassing Final Fantasy's creators, get a life? Seriously, please do anything. Even play Final Fantasy XIV. I'm not asking you to go outside. You just have to stop obsessing over the one thing in the last update that pissed you off enough to get your TikTok account banned. You didn't have to maliciously lay into the devs after they ruined your obscure skill tree or tweaked the NPC voice lines for inclusive language. You gotta believe me here. I know you're trying to find happiness. That's how MMORPGs and really all games hook you. But the thing you're pouring the energy into will not lead to you being more happy. The path to happiness is through meaningful accomplishments, living out loud as your true self, helping your local community directly, or watching animal bloopers. So the next time you have an inkling towards posting violence, remember this capybara wearing human glasses. because it knows you can do better.
Look, everything that didn't completely die in the last few recessions is bound to have an anniversary at some point, and so SNK has decided it's time to celebrate the Neo-Geo! You don't remember the Neo-Geo? Because it came out in 1990 and you were born in 1991? Well, glad to see we're still popular with the youth. Anyway, SNK and PlayOn are releasing a new edition of the Neo-Geo console, which back in the day, we alternately made fun of and or lusted after. The Neo-Geo home console was essentially the same Neo-Geo arcade machine, but at home, and the re-release promises full compatibility with all old Advanced Entertainment System game carts, and SNK is also re-releasing individual cartridges for 9 classic titles and Magician Lord. The obvious advantage to bringing back the Neo-Geo console at this point is that you might be able to afford one this time, because the list price is $250 or 200 euro. They don't give the price in noble kroner on their website, but this is much cheaper than the $650 the system cost back in 1990, which is more like $1,200 today. And if we work backwards, that means this Neo-Geo is worth actually 115 1990s era dinero, which is roughly the same as a Game Boy, which these days are so rare they're going for $500 on eBay. The biggest drawback to bringing back the Neo-Geo, though, is the fear that this might blow up the fighting game meta and accidentally make Samurai Showdown popular again. So, if you'd like more information on the Neo-Geo, head to www.neo-geo.com, because frankly, this is what the internet was like back in the 1990s, and I think we'd all benefit from a little break from reality.
A weird additional wrinkle to an already bizarre Pokemon story is developing, and it feels so antithetical to the spirit of Pokemon that I didn't even come up with a good pun to ram a Pokemon name into this opening line. Dunsparce. 2 weeks ago, a professional Pokemon Go player... I just realized I should actually allow you a moment or two to fully absorb the information that Pokemon Go has a professional circuit. Not because there aren't professional competitions for far sillier games, but because Pokemon Go's purpose was never tight gameplay, so it sounds a bit like a competitive pool noodle battle. But it does exist, and I don't want to take anything away from the victory of Firestar 73 at the Orlando Regional Championships. The Play Pokemon team have done that instead, stripping Firestar of his victory for an unsportsmanlike victory celebration comprising swiftly removing his headphones and pumping his fist in the air. Let's watch it.
First time champion for himself and your 2026 Orlando champion!
Incredible series from Firestar, pulling out all the stops, all the Pokemon, taking us to a decisive Game 5. Could not have asked for anything else in that grand finals.
So yeah, everyone thought that was bullshit, considering the celebration was downright restrained when compared to, for the sake of argument, any tournament victory depicted in the Pokemon anime. I also think there might be some confusion here, because it's actually not clear that the fairly measured headphone removal was not part of the action taken against Firestar. A different player was reprimanded at the same event for throwing their headphones onto the table in a premature victory celebration during the TCG tournament, which messed up the cards and counters in the board state. Firestar's game loss was just due to unsportsmanlike celebration of that restrained fist pump. Or, sorry, no, actually, it wasn't, because Firestar appealed the decision, and now the Play Pokemon team have released a statement that includes, they say, some information which may not be known to the broader community. In this statement, they do uphold their original decision, but they do not mention the victory celebration at all, except for a general addendum that clarifies, quote, "In the moment of a win, emotions are high, and we recognize these emotions can lead to energetic reactions celebrating a win. We want to support this authentic positive reaction and not discourage this excitement. Celebrations are not an issue." No, apparently, Firestar was disqualified for hitting and shaking the table. The table the Pokemon Go devices are attached to. The devices you have to repeatedly tap and swipe. Anyway, let's watch him hit the table.
Let's get to the Aquadale, changing things around, and that's Firestar.
Yeah. So, supposedly, because we don't know, Firestar was issued a warning penalty for that horrific infraction. The Pokemon Tournament Handbook states that when a penalty is delivered, it must be accompanied by an explanation of how the competitor's actions are not allowed, and an explanation of the base infraction and severity of that infraction to the competitor. Things Firestar claims didn't happen, and we didn't see in the video. After further fist pumping caused a brief moment of video disconnection in the final game,
Way too low as Firestar pecks down the Quagsire.
And
Firestar went on to win and was then issued a game loss for that infraction. Despite Pokemon's own rules stating the game loss penalty is generally used when a mistake has been made that has a severe impact on the game state to the point where the game is irreparably broken and unable to continue, none of which seems to describe what we have seen with our pitiful human eyes. The Play Pokemon penalty guidelines do use an example of a competitor engages in behavior that directly induces a major technical issue, but that's under the subheading of severe Pokemon Go gameplay errors resulting in an irretrievably broken game state, which this obviously was not. It would be very in keeping for their company conduct that Play Pokemon will not be commenting any further on this, but I suppose for now, this situation is still developing. Evolving! Damn it!
Paul tells me not to hit the table all the time, but I've yet to be banned for it.
We are presently drafting new guidelines.
Coming up, Xbox Game Pass is cheaper than it was last week. Is time going backwards? This was CheckPoint.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of stories about how the new Xbox person has been. I don't know.
This was like the least well-kept secret in gaming that they were going to drop the Xbox Game Pass price.
I don't think that this was like a public statement, but I saw several news stories this week about she says that the Game Pass is bad and expensive, and everyone was like, yeah. And so they did. They reduced the cost of all the different tiers with the trade-off of you no longer get day one Call of Duty on it, which is probably also good for them because, we don't know exactly how many people signed up to Game Pass for Call of Duty, but they definitely didn't sell as many Call of Duty as they normally sell because you could just get it on Game Pass, and also it wasn't as good as previous Call of Duties.
Yeah.
Calls of Duty.
Calls of Duty.
For Nelson's story, which was the Square Enix one, I do think it's very weird for a company to be able to contact your ISP and then it sounds, the way I was talking, Paul was saying this earlier, it sounds like they sent hired goons when it's like, we contacted the ISP and got contact information for this person, and now
the Pinkertons.
Now they've apologized and they'll be paying a fine, and their videos have been taken down. It really sounds like, and that's weird. But also, if you have criticism of a game, that's fine. Harassing the individuals that made it, not okay.
Yeah.
So, and we don't know exactly what was said because they were all taken down. So I don't know. I don't know how this all works. It's an interesting one. I wrote the Pokemon thing. That's weird. That's so strange. That seems like at any point they could have been like, we should not do this, but they're deciding to stick to their guns on it.
They're refusing to walk it back.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Because it's just makes them look worse. And if they have more damning evidence, they need to release it.
They said it was something to do with the victory thing. And so the player appealed because you're allowed to appeal.
Yeah.
And then they released this new statement. And he's like, okay, so that's a totally new thing. And also, what?
Yeah. Yeah. It seems insane.
Yeah. So that was weird. Beej wrote about the Neo-Geo. Sure, why not? Let's get the Neo-Geo back. Okay. And then Cameron wrote a story about the Elden Ring movie.
Which, I don't know, as an Elden Ring enjoyer,
yeah,
I think it could be good.
I mean, so the thing is, I quite like work that Alex Garland has done.
Yep.
The cast seems great. Mm-hmm. All the set photos look like they're basically straight out of the game. We've seen photos we've seen a bunch of photos of things that look like they're straight from the opening, the opening narration prologue thing, like the dung eater being strung up by the gallows. We've seen some shots of Queen America. We've seen a bunch of on-set photos that look like they're straight from the game, and that's all great. And Alex Garland played a bunch of the game, pitched it to Miyazaki himself, was like, this is what I want to do for the movie, and Miyazaki was like, that sounds great. So this all sounds very encouraging, but it does remain to be seen what story on the scope of Elden Ring they can possibly tell in the length of a movie. Cameron also noted that he wanted to include this in the story, but he couldn't actually find a primary source for it, that a lot of people have said that Alex Garland has, because he says he's played it through like 7 times. People have said that he has like between 4,000 and 6,000 hours in Elden Ring, but Cameron couldn't find him saying that.
Right.
If you assume 7 playthroughs, like right the way through, is true, and look at that time spent on it, that's so long. And we assume it's just because he spends a lot of time going, what's that? Look at that. Ooh, let me read all these item descriptions.
Yeah, I assume also if he's like actively been writing the game, a lot of those hours might be that the game is technically running, but he is idle and he's working, and then he's like, oh, what was that? And he goes over and does the thing, and then like...
Yeah.
Right? And then leaves, and it's technically going to be logging those hours, but
I assume that's the case. We're no strangers to the phrase cautiously optimistic. I am cautiously very optimistic.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, I think they got a good person for it. The fact that Miyazaki also is like, yeah. And I don't care that George R. R. Martin's involved. He was barely involved in the game anyway. He was mostly just there for name recognition, which I assume is why his name is on the movie as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, people do love the Game of Thrones, so that makes sense.
I think it'll be neat. There was a very funny photo from the set where it was one of the cities, or it was like a city thing, and they had all the props for like cages and barrels and stuff, and clearly had just like they'd been trucked in and put down and not yet like spread out around the set and the location. So it was just a whole bunch of like cages and barrels and crates all in like this, just like shoulder to shoulder, all in this one little area, and people were like, yeah, that looks like a FromSoft environment.
Yeah.
It's just...
I mean, I do have to say...
I'll roll right through that.
The pictures I've seen do look very authentic, but like the game has excellent art direction. All you have to do is be like that. You don't have to do anything else, right? Just that. They've already done it.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
Just make it look exactly like the game.
It's every time that an adaptation fucks this up, I'm like, how did you have... We gave you all the answers, Mr. Policeman. I don't understand how you messed this up so badly. Just make it look like that.
Is that a reference to like a failed horror movie, The Snowman?
Yes, it is. I don't know why that...
I don't know why I know that. I didn't see that movie.
No, I don't know why that's where my brain went, but here we are. Your brain can go these places as well by supporting us here at Loading Ready Run. Check out our Patreon, or by subscribing on Twitch or becoming a member on this YouTube channel. I always say, like, hey, this supports everything we do at Loading Ready Run, and I don't know how many people watching this know the breadth of everything we do at Loading Ready Run, but it's a lot. We've got new episodes of The Panelists airing on the main Loading Ready Run channel. We're in the midst of the season.
Well, we're coming up on the end of it now.
Yeah, we've got a few more episodes to go, but we got some real good ones we saved for the...
The last episode is so good, even I laughed. I edit them, and I was there for like
you were there for recording them. So by the time
I wrote the prompts, I wrote the prompts with help from other people, but I was involved in writing the prompts, and I was there for recording them, and I watched every episode being recorded, and then I did the final edit on all of them. So if it can still make me laugh after all that time, that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Check that out. And I don't think we have any particular big stuff coming up on the streams, but we got Loading Ready Live this week, so tune in for that. Until we talk to you again, though, I think that's everything. So goodbye.
Bye.
My head.
He's too tall.
I'm too tall.